Can a Republican surge to victory in Los Angeles? He's got the big mo. As a socialist, is poised to become a senator in Maine? Let's talk about it. Here we go.
Let's go.
I should at least say the Democrat nominee for U.S. Senate in Maine. He would have to beat a rhino named Susan Collins to actually become the senator. That's Graham Platner. Today, Janet Mills, who's the governor, announced that she's dropping out of the race for U.S. Senate, something that I talked about earlier in the week with you and on Dana's podcast as well, Perino on Politics. Chuck Schumer's aligned candidates are all fading fast. And the socialists, the commies, they're on the rise. This is their moment. This is their time. But it may come back to bite them in Los Angeles. Now, California is a freaking mess on every level. I mean, it really is. It's a disaster. It's from top to bottom, the whole state is a disaster. And you have to realize, and I know you do, Gavin Newsom is a sociopathic, shape-shifting political fraud. His wife is nuts. We got more clips of her today. And LA is still smoldering in flames, basically. Bridget was just in LA. She flew out to Santa Barbara and there's no direct flight. So she had to drive up to LA and she came back. She's like, I can't believe Malibu is still not rebuilt. It's a mess. Graham Platner, so that's Maine. Spencer Pratt is the guy running for mayor of LA. And he was a reality star host. He was a Republican. Now he's running as an independent. And the thing about it is that his house was burned down in the wildfires. And his house has not been rebuilt. And he's living out of a freaking trailer. Like a lot of people are living out of trailers. It's like a van down by the river, but it's a van down by the ocean. And that's because of all the red tape and regulations. LA's still not rebuilt. But it's bigger than that. They had a concert and they raised a ton of cash. And then they distributed the cash to all these NGOs and the money basically disappeared. And nobody got money. Nobody got money to rebuild their homes. So between the red tape and the fraud and the incompetence and everything else, it's still a disaster. Then you add into the fact you've got, like Kensington and Philadelphia, you always see those videos of the Walking Dead. That's LA. You got a massive drug problem. They asked Gavin Newsom one time about the drug problem, and I think it was Adam Carolla who asked him, and he was like, yeah, but what about the hardworking single mom who loses her job and has 2 kids and ends up homeless? And he's like, that's not the problem we're talking about, and there's resources for that woman. We're talking about the homeless encampments and people these are heavy drug users, mentally ill, and they are taking over the city. And so moms have to cover their kids' eyes to keep them from having homeless drug zombies having sex with each other on the streets of Los Angeles. And a friend of mine, like I've said to you many times, when I was first getting into this business, a very long time ago, it seems, Lori Cantillo, who was the program director at the time of WABC in New York, then she's smart and left radio and went to NASA, which obviously shows you how smart she was. A, she left radio, which we should have done a long time ago. B, she went to NASA. So she was a very smart woman. But I remember when I had my first sort of tryout on 770 WABC, Hallmark radio station, one of the OGs, and she said to me, you should listen to people talking and overhear conversations before you go on the radio, just to kind of hear what they're saying about things. I still apply that rule today. So I eavesdrop whenever I possibly can. But in addition to that, I reach out to friends of mine who are not Republicans, and I find out what they're thinking about things. And so a friend of mine who is a very educated, college-educated white woman, but not crazy, is not a Republican, but is not a crazy, like we would never use her, for example, in our little, we're the white women at thing. And she thinks Spencer Pratt is hitting all the right notes here and appealing to women like her. Moms in the suburbs, because remember, it's Los Angeles County. So it's not just the city, it's also the city and county of Los Angeles, who are sick and tired of crime. And they see the Democrat incompetence and he's speaking to them. And the fact that he was a reality star helps the situation, helps that. So I asked her opinion on this, and she's been, sending me all these messages and saying over and over again, She thinks Spencer Pratt is going to win this race for mayor of Los Angeles because he's appealing to women like her. Women, and this is very similar, honestly, to part of the reason why I think Trump did well with women in the suburbs, because he spoke to them about issues that matter to them, their kids in schools, the transgender stuff, the, boys in the locker room stuff, like all that stuff matters. And these women may not post it on social media, but it matters to them. It really does. And they may not like Trump personally, but they like those policies better than the crazy policies of Kamala Harris. Same thing with LA. They may not like Spencer Pratt. They may think the guy's a little Trumpish, but they like what he's talking about. And they like the fact that he's exposing the fraud. So he put out this new campaign commercial. And here it is. Take a watch.
This is where Mayor Vass lives. You notice something? Or here, where Nithya Raman's $3 million mansion sits. They don't have to live in the mess they've created where you live. This is where I live. They let my home burn down. I know what the consequences of failed leadership are. That's why I'm running for mayor. For my sons and the rest of us Angelinos that want to stop these corrupt politicians from destroying our city. We are going to get the golden age of Los Angeles back.
Okay, so a couple things here. If you're not watching, he showed their lavish mansions, which were not destroyed by the wildfires. Then he showed his trailer that he lives in with his kids, with his wife and kids. So he showed that. And then in gold, making LA great again. So he's definitely doing the Trump thing with the making LA great and the gold letters and reality star and all that. And it works. And these guys know messaging and they know how to appeal to people. As a person who spent most of his career in politics, I can tell you, we always strive to get candidates to be empathetic, meaning, can I walk a mile in your shoes? Well, Spencer Pratt doesn't have to try because he's literally a victim of the wildfires. So he's literally somebody who is living in a trailer. So he appeals to people on that note. Secondly, the authenticity factor. Can you be authentic? Well, it's obvious he's angry. A lot of people are angry. Then it's the whole other aspect of it's the contrast in politics. So here's me in a trailer. I'm a victim of the wildfires. And a year later, year and a half later almost, still don't have a home. Versus the contrast of these elites with their mansions who are totally fine. Then you play into the whole idea of these elites don't have to deal with the homeless zombies and the crime and everything else. You put it all together, you have a winning formula there. Now, Spencer Pratt, as of right now, is not leading in the polls, but he is now leading in poly market. And I have come to believe that the betting markets are right way more than the polls. I saw that in Jersey, sadly, to my chagrin. And I think we're seeing more and more of that. People who put their money on this stuff, they don't mess around. They're much better predictors than polls are. So Polymarket now has Spencer Pratt surging, and a big part of it is this commercial that he just released. And I can tell you, honestly, it's one of the best political commercials I've ever seen. Because it also intersplices the pictures of the homelessness, the pictures of the crime, the pictures of the traffic, the pictures of all of this. Here he is, LA mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt says on a Zoom call that Mayor Karen Bass vowed not to speed up the permit process. Take a listen to this.
We don't have anybody in LA that fights Sacramento, and these dreams of Sacramento become nightmares of Los Angeles. They have these utopian versions of how we should live in Los Angeles, but nobody fights them in Sacramento. And again, as mayor, I want to be in their I'm going to be on their territory. Let me tell you, I'm not just going to be fighting the city council. We need to fight these, whoever's the new governor. I may have to fight that person. The lieutenant governor, I'm going to have to fight that person. I'm going to have to fight these lawmakers because all these things they're doing are destroying Los Angeles. And no one from L.A. goes to Sacramento and fights these imaginary politicians.
No, Karen Bass is fighting Trump. That's her plan.
You know how, so I was just at this community thing, and one of the people was on a commission. This is one of the craziest things I've heard. And after the Palisades fire, there was a Zoom with all the commissioners. She said there was like 150. She said, you can ask my 12-year-old daughter. She witnessed it. And Karen Bass gets on and she says, oh yeah, Trump just said about rushing the permits, That was after that firehouse. And she's like, I'm not going to do any of what he said. And that lady who was at that meeting said, that's when I resigned from the commission. She said it was the most, she said, these are all these people who lost their homes, and she's doing this politics thing about 7,000 homes burned down.
Okay. Let's unpack that for just a second here, first of all. Number one, Karen Bass, like Gavin Newsom, these are incompetent people. She was in, I don't know, Uganda or something when the wildfires broke out, and they have not rebuilt. When he talks about Sacramento and having to fight the governor, Newsom's on his little high-speed choo-choo train to nowhere. We'll get into that during the show. But I love this race because it highlights the incompetence of Democrats, particularly on the left coast, but you're going to find out on the East Coast as well. It highlights how they have put all their eggs into fighting Trump without giving a damn about the people who actually live in their cities. And they put in their utopian policies, and this is what he's talking about. You know, like homelessness. Yeah, like the unhoused can walk on the streets and live on the streets and be zombies on the streets, and that's all good and that's all fine. And just like we've discovered with Minnesota with Tim Walz, and we're discovering with more fraud with California and hospices and other places, they had a concert. It was a fire aid benefit concert on January 30th, 2025. Raised over $100 million. They had some of the biggest names in entertainment part of this concert. People could stream it and they could give money, and it was a huge success. This is what he found out regarding that concert and how little of the money has actually gone to people.
I don't know if you remember, but like right after the Palisades fire, there was that big concert that I was so upset they didn't invite Heidi to perform at, the LA Fire Aid concert. Do you remember that? And some of you remember, I'm sure. Well, guess what? They raised $100 million and they haven't said where any of that money went. And they've been asked for accounting, So first off, I'm glad Heidi didn't go waste her time performing for money that actually nobody knows where it went. Think about that, $100 million raised for residents, community things, and funds that are supposed to help with Palisades, and there's no accounting or where the money went. They're not telling anyone. Is that? I mean, I haven't even had my coffee yet. What?
So he went on Joe Rogan's podcast. That's the other thing he's doing smart. He's going on Rogan. He's going on Adam Carolla. He's going on the podcast and he's talking to the guys. Because as much as my friend, who's a woman, likes what he's saying regarding things like homelessness and crime and the calling out the incompetence and the bureaucracy, as we know from the presidential election with Donald Trump, where he went on Theo Von, went on Rogan, you got to reach young men in particular who listen to these shows, and you got to get them out to vote too. Because if you don't, then the machine's just going to win. And these guys are fed up with fraud, and they're fed up with all of the corruption, and they're fed up with the incompetence of people. And this is what he said to Rogan regarding a journalist who's been highlighting how this money's been stolen.
They actually took fire victims from Altadena on stage whose houses burned down, and they raised this $100 million. And as a victim, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get a few $1,000s. That's nice. Or, you break $100 million up, this should be a grand. Even FEMA and these places, when you get that $1,000 check, it's helpful. You're like, oh, I just lost everything. Every little $1,000 adds up. So when that happened and nobody I know anywhere got money, and Sue Pascoe from Circling the News, a local journalist whose house burned down, she spent months investigating, calling up every single NGO. Who did you give money to? Which victim? Nobody got money.
And these NGOs pay themselves a lot of money. The people that run them will give like $1 million in administrative costs. And so the victims don't actually get the money. So this race for mayor is a great microcosm of this kind of pushback now against Democrat incompetence, the liberal arrogance, the socialist utopia, all the nonsense, the red tape, the regulations, the constant belittling of people as individuals because, well, we have to take the environment into account. We rebuild these homes and blah, blah, blah. As if like, we don't really give a blank about you. And if you have a house or if you have to live in a trailer. Oh, and by the way, if you have a trailer, we may ticket it. Yeah, we may ticket it because that's who we are in California. That's just what we may do. So even if you don't have a house and even if you're forced to live in a trailer, we may still wind up going after you and making your life a living hell because we just don't really care about you. This was from Best Buyers, who does stuff for Reason.com. Just watch this.
How does California help victims of the Eaton fire? By ticketing the RV they live in out front their damaged home. This is Derek and Shirley Collins. Since 1968, Derek has lived in this Western Altadena home when his mother purchased it. And the Collins' son and daughter were raised here. So when the wildfire ripped through their neighborhood, they literally used garden hoses to fight it and save their home. While the house survived, it suffered major damage. It's contaminated with toxins and basically unlivable. To complicate matters, their mortgage company won't release the cleanup funds paid out by their insurance company. The Collins are part of the 80% of fire survivors still displaced, so they've lived in an RV on the street out front their home for over a year. The RV feeds off their electricity panel, uses a city water hose, and has proper disposal for sewage. So it's not like Cousin Eddie and Christmas Vacation, or everyone on Skid Row. And plenty of other people in Altadena do it too. There's RVs and storage pods everywhere. But for the sheriff, this is not included in the recovery plan. The sheriff suggested they just move to a trailer park. But they have some cool vintage cars, and worry leaving their property unattended could make them a target for theft. So LA County Parking Enforcement gave the Collins 2 tickets for $68 each, and the sheriff showed up 4 days in a row. The first ticket they successfully appealed, but the status of the second is unknown. If they don't pay the ticket, they incur additional penalties or even a boot on the RV. And if the RV isn't moved, it could be towed. But moving an RV under their property isn't that easy. It would require the Collins to get a permit, which would include a diagram of where the trailer and its connecting utilities would be. They'd have to empty their storage shed that's used for a drum house, move the shed, hire a company to move the storage pod, and tear down the front gate. But the LA County Parking Enforcement Lieutenant didn't care. They gave the Collins 2 weeks to figure it out. After the news caught wind of this, and plenty of public backlash, LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger issued a statement saying the Board of Supervisors unanimously approved a motion to evaluate housing options for fire victims. So there's a pause on ticketing for now, and the RV remains on the street. But why is California making it harder, not easier, for fire victims to recover?
Because they don't care about you. Now, if you were a homeless drug addict crapping on the street, that'd be different. That would be okay. That would be different. They don't care. That's just it. If it doesn't advance their lefty utopian socialist narrative, because they believe that the unhoused should be able to just literally live anywhere they want, and that is kind and just, then they will go after you with all the regulatory and everything else. And if they think these people have money and they can get permits out of them and they can get money out of them, they'll do it. That's why they don't care about you. And you see this not just in LA, you see this in Philly, you see this everywhere, you see this in New York, you see this everywhere that there is this kind of monumental red tape. I don't know why we call it red tape. We should really start calling it blue tape, because it happens more and more every day in where? Blue cities and blue states. And on the federal level, they're trying to do everything they possibly can to get rid of the blue tape. That's why Lee Zeldin is doing everything he can at the EPA, for example, to take away all these draconian restrictions the EPA has put on without congressional approval, by the way. That's why Brooke Rollins is out there fighting to make sure that farmers who got fined for building a fence on their own property are given a pass. It's why the president has had to pardon people who have committed so-called environmental crimes. So we still call it red tape, but it's actually blue tape. And then you see it in blue places more and more and more. And typically because the blue tape comes with green, as in money, as in the fazools. The more they can put out permits and applications and get you to do paperwork, and the more that they can come up with fines and ways they can bust your chops, the more they can also get money out of you too. Oh, it's like you got a stream in your backyard and it's too close to something. Well, here's a fine. You put a fence up. Yeah, well, here's a fine. You did this. Here's a fine. And then they get money. And if you don't pay the fine, they charge you interest. They charge you penalties on the interest, and then they come after you, and then they even try to seize your property and your home, and that's what they do. That's blue tape. But we got to stop with the red tape nonsense. It's not red tape. That is the big story of the hour, brought to you by our buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria, Veneria Dental. Go see him today for your perfect smile. Vanaria, veneriadental.com. 2 locations to serve you in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. Dr. Mike is a great guy and a great friend, and he will help you every step of the way. The issue with California and these wildfires, the budget for the fire department was so completely slashed. Karen Bass cut $17 million out of their budget, but it's not like she gave the money back to the taxpayers. Just shifted that money towards programs for her feel-good utopian nonsense. In California, as a state, they cut money for wildfire prevention, which also includes making sure that you do forest management, in addition to making sure that the people that fight fires have the equipment that they need to, fight fires. Gavin Newsom has his little high-speed rail choo-choo train. Excuse me. And the high-speed rail choo-choo train is never going to get built, nor should it get built. It is a disaster. We've played this before for you, but I want to play it again for you. It's when Gavin Newsom came out and told everybody the progress that they were making on his little high-speed choo-choo train, which I found out today because I was on Fox News today. Shameless plug. I know. I wanted to make it through. Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You even mentioned it in the middle of right after the Veneria top story.
I thought I could go the opening monologue maybe, and then maybe get to it.
I recently saw that Spencer Pratt thing on Fox News where you were hosting. I thought you were going to tie them all together.
It's so funny you mention that because I talked about Spencer Pratt today on Fox News with Dana Perino.
Were you on with Dana?
And Bill Hemmer.
Wow.
And Aaron McGuire. Imagine that. Yeah. So
should have
mentioned that. That's where I got the inspiration for the topic. So, and Dana signed my book too. I mean, her book. It's not my book. It's her book.
I saw you. Were you shaking a book at the camera at the end of the segment? Did I see
that shameless plug?
It's like Rich is like the belt at a WWE match. He's like, I got it.
And then I took a picture with her. Maybe we'll put this up on social media tomorrow. I don't know.
That's not going to work.
See. That's not going to work.
Yeah, back towards your face. It's easier. Yeah, it's better.
She looks a lot. She looks a lot better than I do.
She's shorter
there.
than you are.
Well, I was standing on a phone book too.
Oh, that makes more sense. A stack of her books.
Yeah, a stack of her books. Purple State. Now number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Hey.
She signed it. She said, "Rich, we make a good team." Dana.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think she signs that to everybody, but.
I hope she does. These random people she met at a bookstore. To Betsy, we make a great team. Dana.
XOXO Dana.
That'd be awesome.
Just her standard go-to. And I'm bragging about it on social media. And then there's like,
just in your replies, everyone has the same.
Tim, the dairy farmer who met her in Wisconsin, is like, wow.
It was so great riding in your Uber. We make a great team. Ahmed. Signed, Dana Perino.
XOXO Dana.
I hope she does.
Oh, that would be great. That would be fantastic. But that's how I got the inspiration for this topic today. And the inspiration to talk about California as well. And Graham Platner, which we're going to get to in addition to that. But this is a throwback to the sociopath, shapeshifter, and presidential candidate Gavin Newsom bragging about his choo-choo train.
In Wasco, right near Shafter, and we just made an announcement of our progress here on the high-speed rail system. We're now in the process of starting to lay track, 119-mile first phase, fully funded because of the investments we'll make through the Cap and Invest program through 2045. 1,700 people every single day, union jobs, go to work on this project. 58 large-scale structures have been complete, 29 others underway, 99% of the environmental work done. All of the hard work behind us, now we're going to see the fruits of that. We're going to start seeing precisely what you see here. Real tracks,
okay, stop it.
Real progress.
What you see there are cargo trains that go about 4 miles an hour at most.
Burlington Northern Union Pacific, yeah.
The kind that go through your neighborhood if you have train tracks and they go so slow and yet they still do the with the and you're like, even if I stood in front of the train, I would probably cause more damage to the train than it would to me. It's going so freaking slow. That's what it's like a kid's toy train for Christmas when they have it go around the tracks and it looks like those big box cars. That's what that is. It's not a high-speed rail train. And yes, they're train tracks, but they're train tracks that have been there forever. So my point is, Dana mentioned that she was hired in the 1990s to fight this high-speed rail project. That's how long this thing has been going on. Originally, it was going to cost $32 million. Now they're up to over $250 billion. It's going to cost $32 billion. I think it's $250 billion is basically now what the cost is going to be. It's never going to come anywhere. 16 years, a budget that is now $135 billion over, and the price is still going up. Here's what President Trump said a year ago about the California high-speed choo-choo train.
In California, a little train going from San Francisco to Los Angeles that's being run by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? He has got, that train is the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. It's like totally out of control. So then they said, all right, we won't go into San Francisco. We'll stop 25 miles short. And we won't go into Los Angeles. We'll stop 25 miles short. It's hundreds of billions of dollars for this stupid project that should have never been built. And then they realized that it would have been a lot less costly if we just gave limousine service back and forth and gave it free. They would have saved hundreds of billions of dollars. They have airplanes that go there for one 1/100th the cost, and they have cars. They have a thing called the highway that goes back and forth. It's not fully utilized. And they got involved with this project. And Gavin, you know, I always liked Gavin. I had a good relationship with him.
Why?
I just got him a lot of water. You know, I sent in people to open up that water because he refused to do it. And we just got him a lot of water. If they would have had that water, and if they would have done what I said to do, they wouldn't have had the fires.
There's nothing to like about Gavin. Gavin is a sociopath, slimeball, shapeshifter. He's the absolute worst. But this overrun now, they're at $232 billion. One of the guys who's on the board or whatever said this will go down as the single biggest infrastructure disaster in world history, this train. I'm telling you all this because this man's going to run for president. And between LA and the state in general, you need to realize that the man who is probably right now the Democrat frontrunner for president of the United States of America within the Democrat Party, he's the one they want. Between the homelessness, the regulations, the red tape, the wasted money, and the batshit crazy wife, Jennifer Siebel Newsom. This is a bad guy. I should have said earmuffs. Sorry about that. Earmuffs. This is a bad, bad man. And as people are still trying to recover from the wildfires, Jennifer Siebel Newsom is out hiking in the woods. Now, I wouldn't care if she was out hiking in the woods if she just stayed as a private person. But she has become the first partner. And the other day, she posts this lengthy tirade on X about how Donald Trump was so rude to Norah O'Donnell. Remember Norah O'Donnell asked the president, she read the manifesto of the shooter at the White House Correspondents' Ball dinner, who's not even denying that he's the shooter at this point. I mean, they're not even fighting custody. That was today in court. His defense team's like, no, we're not even going to try to get out. Like, he did it. We all know he knows he did it. We know we're not even going to try. So you hold on to him. They know that. But anyway, she goes on this lengthy tirade about how Donald Trump was so mean to Norah O'Donnell. As Norah O'Donnell's sitting there reading to him, you're a pedophile and blah, all the horrific things this guy wrote about him, a rapist and a pedophile and a traitor. And she did it for shock value. Remember, she came out and said, "Oh, you think he's talking about you?" As if he was talking about somebody else, like the White House butcher or something like that. And Jennifer Siebel Newsom didn't like it, so she went on a whole tirade about how Trump's a sexist and she can't believe that this man would talk to women this way and women have to rally. And she goes on all of these various things. And you want to play the audio? You want to play it?
I'm not sure if I got the right one here.
You should read. Why don't you read all the anti-Trump? Why don't you read it? You just did, so why don't you read it?
Well, he had a lot of anti-Christian rhetoric. That was right before that, but it's okay. That's what she read to him. She said he called you a rapist, a pedophile, and a traitor. And he said, "You are really despicable. You know that? You are really despicable." But so Jennifer Siebel Newsom, posts on Instagram for Earth Week. As people in Los Angeles still don't have homes, as they're living in trailers, as some of those trailers are being ticketed, as other people are having to cover their kids' eyes because they're watching homeless people have sex on the streets, she's out there outside hiking. Here we go.
Just a reminder, move your body, calm your mind, take advantage of the myriad of state, national, and local parks in your community.
Oh my God.
We've got 3 new state parks coming in the Central Valley. These are your state parks. It's the 4th in the Central Valley since the conception of this administration. It's really exciting. So just wanted to remind you to get your family out there as soon as possible. We're so lucky to be surrounded by all of this incredible beauty in California. Hope you had a great Earth Week.
Like, oh my God, it's so pretty. Like, look at that. Like, oh my God. See, contrast that with Spencer Pratt. It's like, I'm living in a freaking trailer. Okay. And it just shows you how out of touch these people are. Like, look at the nature. Oh my gosh. And don't forget, carry in, carry out. So don't leave anything behind. Leave no trace. All right, let me tell you about the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey, my happy place. I'm very excited to go there. I don't know when exactly. We were hoping to go in May, but I have the surgery scheduled now. So don't wait for me. Make your Memorial Day plans at the Grand Hotel of Cape May now. If you stay 4 weeknights consecutive, they're going to throw in Thursday night for free. So you'll have a great time. Kids will love the outdoor heated saltwater pool and the indoor heated saltwater pool. You'll love Hemingway's restaurant. Best seafood, steaks anywhere, handcrafted cocktails, great people. It's great for a family. It's great for a group of friends. It's great for a romantic getaway weekend. All of it. You will just love the Grand Hotel, and you'll love Cape May. If you've never been, you have to go. You really do. I'm telling you, it's unlike any other shore town. It's close enough to Wildwood, so if you have kids, you can take them and do the boardwalk and stuff, but there's great things to do in Cape May between miniature golf and ice cream shops and arcades and the Washington Street Mall and just a lot of fun stuff. It is the perfect summer escape, but it always sells out, so make your plans today by going to grandhotelcapemay.com. It's absolutely beautiful. World War II history, the lighthouse, the Cape May County Zoo, which is free. There's wineries, there's breweries, the Victorian homes. It is my favorite shore town by far and my favorite hotel in the entire Jersey Shore. grandhotelcapemay.com. Also the perfect place for a wedding, by the way. You know, on the note of the surgery, I just want to give you an update. When Jared was away last week, we showed you the images from the scan they did in my heart, and you could see my artery, being crushed.
All the cool stuff happens while I'm gone.
Yeah, I should have shared it with you. I mean, we still can.
I missed out.
We can play it, next week. But yeah, you can see the muscle compressing on the artery and crushing it. It's a lot of fun. It's good times. It's very, very good times. So May 18th, I'll be going under the knife, and they're doing what is called a roofing surgery, where they take the artery, and I talked to Dr. Joanne Mazzarelli today, who's my cardiologist, and it is the major artery in my heart. So it's not a lesser artery. It is the major artery. It is not the Chris Cuomo of arteries. It is the major artery in my heart. And they're going to put it on top of the muscle where it belongs. So I said it really should be called a roofing surgery, but it's an unroofing because the muscle is on top of it, and they're going to unroof the muscle so that it stops squeezing down on it. That's the term.
Kind of sounds like an old switcheroo surgery.
You think so?
They take the veins and they put the vein on the other side, right? Isn't that the old switcheroo?
Well, they're going to put it on top.
So it's this way?
Yeah, like
switcheroo?
That.
Okay.
They can pick it up and drop it on top.
I thought you were going to tie Emmons Roofing into that. I thought you were going to do a little...
we could. We could definitely do it. I mean, if you need a good roof, not for your heart, but for your home.
Roofing surgery brought to you by...
Brought to you by my friends at Emmons Roofing and Siding. So that's going to be May 18th, and I'll be in the hospital for about 5 days in the ICU, and then a other unit to recover, and then off the next week, and then hope to be back here June 1st. But what I wanted to say was, yesterday we had this technical hiccup, if you were watching, and we just restarted the show. I only have right now about an hour in me, honestly, energy-wise, really, to be able to do the show. Like when the show ends, I'm exhausted. I'm high energy. I don't know how the hell I did it for 4 years. For years, I was doing a 4-hour show. And the doctor said, I don't know how you were doing that because your heart is just crushing your artery the whole time. And it's just, exhausting you. So after the show ends, I'll take nitroglycerin and another beta blocker. And then probably have to take a nap, to be honest with you. And then, do all the kids stuff and then start driving the kids around and do all that. So anyway, the technical, we also air the show on Rumble, X, and Facebook. So that's why we just restarted from the beginning, because I can't redo the whole thing yet. I hope that maybe, after the surgery, I'll be able to do that, and hopefully even longer. But until that time, this is the best I've got. And it stinks. It really does, because even going for long walks, which I love to do, cause a lot of exhaustion. Why now? I've had this my whole life. I was born with this. Why now? Because of all these decades of the heart muscle crushing on the artery has weakened it to the point where now it is causing all these problems. And then it's the kind of thing where if you don't get it fixed down the road, it could become worse. So we're going to deal with it, and then hopefully I'll be in a better place energy wise. But that's where we are with this. So as we're doing the show, we're recording the show, and then we're going to re-air the show on various platforms later. So if we have another kung fu incident, we're just going to, like we did yesterday, we're just going to restart and keep going and try not to make a big deal of it so that people don't really know. And I'm only making a big deal of it now because I figured I should let you know what's going on with the surgery, since I just got off the phone literally like 5 minutes before the show with my doctor, and we're now full speed ahead. And they thought I had a heart attack, but I didn't. So that's the good news, like they thought I did, but they were like, you didn't. So that's good news.
All because
it's like when you get a package from Amazon, but it's not your package, it's your neighbor's. Kind of like
the same.
That.
That's just the same. Literally.
Just the same. Yeah.
All because Bridget makes you shovel snow by hand.
That's what, by hand, with a
brutal.
scooper, a little scooper.
Can't get
That's what happened.
Man.
Yeah.
Slave labor.
And I have to cut the grass with scissors. All those things. And I wonder if Jennifer Siebel Newsom has the same condition, because did you see how out of breath she was when she was like,
was she?
This is your park, California. Like, oh my God. Or do you think that's just from her being pretentious? Like, I get out of breath walking like that because I have a heart condition. Is that just her being pretentious?
I mean, I think that's she. Who knows? She's probably doing some elevation. She looks like she does cardio every day to keep the governor happy. Be the first. Actually, Rich, can I say, like, on your high-speed rail,
keep the governor happy.
He's got to keep him happy
because that's the only way he's being kept happy by her. Let's face it.
I mean,
let's be honest.
It's probably a delight to go home every day. Wait, can I tell you? So, like, that book Abundance came out, and it really concentrated on high-speed rail, and I learned this from that book. Do you know that for what California has spent on high-speed rail, on their commissions and everything, China could have built the high-speed rail and a half for their per mile high-speed cost. And for what California has spent with in Europe, the highest Europe is, they could have built nearly the entire thing. They've spent about $16 billion. The highest per mile cost in Europe would have put them just about done with it. For what they have paid for commissions, every other country in the world could have already built this thing. That's crazy.
Because of the blue tape and the commissions and the regulations and the kickbacks and the NGOs and the group to study this and the that and the other thing. And this is what is making people so incredibly frustrated with their governance. But that is, what was the name of that book you said?
That was The Abundance, the Ezra Klein, Derek Thompson, where the abundance agenda. But in there, they even talked about New York's per mile cost to build subways is 10 times what Paris's is. Paris has unions. God. Paris has good pay. Paris has all the things you need. It is it's more than $1 billion per mile to build a New York, to build a subway. And Paris is, it's $150 million a mile. It's not cheap, but like, it's not 10 times the cost. Like, that's all the NGOs.
So the only explanation are it's the regulations then.
Yeah,
and all of the
carving
cost
rock,
overruns.
Carving rock under the Eiffel Tower has got to have its own regulations. It's the VIG, it's the NGO. It's got, I mean, what else?
Yeah.
It's 10 times the cost, Rich. It's insanity.
$232 billion and nothing's been built yet. Yeah, and this is why people are, this is it. This is why people are frustrated. And all of this has to be exposed, and this guy runs for president. There's no doubt about that. No doubt. Has to be exposed and has to be out there, and we'll make sure of that. As for me, and the rail line's not even going from LA to San Francisco anymore, which sounds like a great idea originally, but now it's Bakersfield. It's like out in the Central Valley to LA. It's not even a line that people would really even use. So this is more of a vanity ego project at this point, and it's never going to be built. So anyway, I'll tell you about Tri-County Auto because they are fantastic. We love our new car. We love our Toyota Sienna. Like I said, I never imagined in my life I'd be a minivan guy. But then again, times change. So maybe you embrace it. You got the kids, you got the dog, you got all the errands, but you don't have to go minivan if you don't want to, because they got a lot of great things going on. You still want to go truck? I don't blame you. Well, Toyota Truck has got you covered at Tri-County Auto. Toyota, you can get up to 24 miles a gallon on a new 2025 Toyota Tacoma SR5 when you finance it for only 2.99% APR, including their Tri-County for Life guarantee. If you're ready for your next Jeep, Tri-County Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram has the perfect fit waiting. You step into a 2026 Jeep Grand Cherokee built for capability and comfort, now with 0% APR and no payments for 90 days. If you need more, the 2026 Jeep Wrangler, which is my car, actually technically Bridget has the minivan, I have the Jeep Wrangler, take you anywhere, 0% APR, no payments for 90 days, but this month only. And I love the fact that you take the top off, the Freedom panel, take the whole, just be out there, just enjoy the open air and love it. Go see my friends at Tri-County. They'll take great care of you. Look for the gigantic American flag, Tri-County Toyota, Tri-County Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. Two incredible dealerships with great people. See my buddy Jack Donaldson, the general manager, the Krieger family. They're great support of our veterans. These are good people who will take great care of you, and they will never, ever, ever pressure you. That's the key thing. They won't do that. And that's a big deal. Tricounty.com. All right, so then let's move over to the East Coast and the arrogance of the left. First of all, we have a king who's still here. I don't know when this guy's getting out of here. I think it's soon, though. That's King Charles, and he's leaving. But from all accounts, he was very nice, and he was very funny, and people liked him and found him charming, and blah, blah, blah. We also had a king for 8 years by the name of Phil Murphy, and we called him His Royal Rugness, King Philip the Unaccountable. And just to show you what a king this guy really was, all of his COVID edicts and all of his regulations and shutting down New Jersey's power plants, shutting down the nuclear plants, shutting down everything, making the cost of living so expensive because Phil Murphy said, and I quote, "We are going to be the California of the East Coast, pushing the windmills, killing whales and dolphins." Do you know that right before he left office, he put his so what do royal people do? What do the royals do? They put their kids inherit, right? Their kids inherit. That's the whole reason, the bloodlines. He put his children on a state board just before leaving office. Shortly before leaving office, His Royal Rugness, King Philip the Unaccountable, made permanent a little known but influential office that would be the linchpin for all things tech in state government. His administration touted the newly created New Jersey Innovation Authority as a national model for harnessing technology like artificial intelligence for a more efficient government. He named some of the state's top legal and policy advisors to the agency's board, promising to further New Jersey's reputation as a national leader in innovation. But the governor also quietly installed 2 people to the board, especially close to him: his children. Politico learned through public records that the outgoing Democrat appointed his daughter Emma and his son Charles, fitting for a king to name his son Charles, to the 13-member board of the authority in January. The board is the governing authority over this new state authority. Murphy's appointment of his children raises questions of nepotism, and not for the first time. Former First Lady Tammy Murphy's bid for Senate in 2024 drew so much opposition among grassroots Democrats that it inadvertently led to a wholesale change in how New Jersey ballots are designed, weakening the long-time party boss system. In his first term, Phil Murphy had a patronage scandal at a school construction agency, which led to the ouster of his handpicked CEO. $1 million in taxpayer dollars were paid in lawsuits. He also pardoned the son of a well-connected Democratic donor who was found guilty of a fatal hit and run because the guy was drunk, and commuted the sentence of a woman found guilty of burning her children to death in 1994. At least one good guy, this is Politico writing this, by the way. When Politico is a pretty, I would say, center-left publication. At least one good government group is questioning the under-the-radar appointments. Too often, these practices reflect a broader culture where access and insider relationships matter more than merit, experience, or accountability, said Eric Cruz Morales, the director of democracy for the League of Women Voters of New Jersey. Political appointments become another way for a small circle of connected individuals to keep their thumb on the scale of power and influence. Even if family members are qualified to be appointed to positions of influence, New Jersey deserves transparent processes that do not undermine public trust, he said. And this authority, just so you know how powerful it is playing a key role in how the new governor is trying to implement work requirements for Medicaid mandated by President Trump using artificial intelligence. And she just gave the authority close to $25 million for the upcoming fiscal year. So this is basically another way for Phil Murphy to keep his kingly hands in this authority and AI, which is going to be dealing with all kinds of different things. Emma Murphy graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. Charles Murphy graduated from Princeton, majored in German. Who the hell, can I just point, why would you major, who majors in German? What is that? What do we think the Germans are taking over? Is this like, was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? I'm going to pick out my major. My major is going to be German. I would have more respect, honestly, Jared, if his major was 18th century French lesbian art history. I would have way more respect for that because at least he would get to see cool pictures.
Well, I guess like I don't know why. Here's my college problem. It's not that I don't think that there shouldn't be 18th century lesbian, French whatever. Like I think
Right.
that I just don't think every university should have it. There should be one German degree for all 180 kids in the U.S. that can do something with it, right? But I'm sure every college has it. Like somebody somewhere is getting a German degree to translate books, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Fair.
Yeah, great. Not everybody needs it. What are you going to do with German? Just business degrees and churn them out. Business engineers, let's make these kids scientists and go.
It's almost like his dad is a billionaire or close to it who worked at Goldman Sachs, made a ton of cash, has his own palace in Italy, in addition to several homes in the United States, and he doesn't ever have to worry about money because his dad, who was governor, has FU money. So when they're like, okay, you're at an Ivy League school, what do you want your major to be? He's like, German, bitch. Because he's like, I don't care and I don't need it. Doesn't matter. I'm Phil Murphy's kid, and I'm going to get an appointment to a state board and commission, and I can do anything I want. And then he probably mooned the woman at the same time he said, my major is going to be German. And he probably can't even speak it.
No, I think I got to say, Rich, it's probably the other way. He probably grew up speaking German. So it was like a breeze for him. You know what I mean? Like with his dad's Italian, he probably they probably didn't have an Italian degree. It's like, well, I also speak Swiss German. I got a little bit of French, a little bit of Spanish. He's like, oh yeah, I'm fluent in German. That seems like an easy degree. This would be perfect.
Murphy's Italian mansion. You're right. It's in the northern part of Italy.
See?
It's in, actually it's in Umbria, which is in southern Italy, but 23-room mansion, $7.3 million is what he bought, in $7.3 million. Caretaker's home. It was purchased through a London registered holding company, JESC Limited, which is 100% owned by the Murphys. He also owned a soccer team, which he had several complaints from the women on the team of how they were treated. But yeah, they have their Italian villa. I'm sure there's a lot of people up there that speak German. So he's like, all right, here's the deal. My dad's governor and has FU money. Do you offer Italian? No. What do you have? German? Fine. I'm going to hire people to take my test anyway.
What sounds like?
How about that, Frau?
It sounds like maybe if they offered the soccer team a few board seats, they would have had less complaints.
They would have had less complaints, right? And probably as he got his degree, he was probably like, Guten Tag, and then Mike dropped it and walked out. And then his dad put him on the state board overseeing artificial intelligence. Oh, that stuff makes me sick,
It's all
man.
coming up,
It
Murphy.
really does. It just makes me nauseous. Ugh, hate these people. I really do. Their arrogance, their elitism. And he's going to run for president too. So all that stuff needs to come out as well. So then let's move on to Graham Platner. This guy now is going to be most likely the Democrat nominee for U.S. Senate in Maine. This is after Janet Mills, the governor, dropped out of the race. Just to show you how the grassroots of the Democrat Party is pushing back now on the Chuck Schumers and others who have for years tried to control the process. And actually, ironically enough, Murphy tried to control the process by getting his wife to be the U.S. Senate nominee in New Jersey, and that blew up. But the grassroots of the Democrat Party said, all right, you gave us Joe Biden, you gave us Kamala Harris, you gave us Hillary Clinton, we've had it. We want Bernie, we want AOC, we want socialists, we want guys like Graham Platner, and they're in charge now. This is their party. This is their show. They are running things. It's not Chuck Schumer anymore. It's the base, and the base wants socialists. They want Mamdamis. They want people like that. And Janet Mills, who's the governor, and Janet Mills, who is the one who was the party's choice, that's who dropped out today. Because even though she had Chuck Schumer's backing and all the elites, it's not what the grassroots wants. Platner went on with Jon Stewart on his weekly show podcast, had a variety of things, why they should tax the rich, what they should do with that money. And he also talked about how the Democrat Party establishment never reached out to him because they didn't want him. This is what he said.
The Democratic establishment has certainly put their Kalshi money and their polymarket money on Janet Mills, and that have you felt any sense of any curiosity? Has there been any, hey Graham, I'm a more establishment guy, you seem to be resonating, what do you think is going on? Or do they view you again through the prism of insurgent? This insurgent must be stopped.
As of late, past few months, there's been a lot more reach out from like individual people, kind of in the like senators. Honestly, I think there are a lot of senators now. There are a bunch of senators like Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, Kristen Holland, that whole crew. Who Martin Heinrich in New Mexico, who like they reached out early on and have been big supporters really the whole time.
They felt a fellow progressive who they thought, okay, I understand where this fella's coming from.
Totally. So that's been going on since the beginning. Past couple months though, there has been more reach out from, I would say, more kind of like establishment folks. However, and this is the important part, not from the DSCC, not from the DNC, like nobody in the places of power remains interested.
But they're lost, dude.
It's so bad.
They're lost.
And the thing that bothers me the most isn't like, I'm not asking for you to like be my friend. But you should be curious because I'm pulling 40 points ahead.
Right. Now he's going to face Susan Collins in Maine, who's barely a Republican. And what I said to Dana Perino on her podcast, Perino in Politics, which I hope you'll give a listen, because the more listens she gets, the more likely I will be to be invited back. So if you would be so kind to take a listen to that episode this week, I'd appreciate it. It's only 27 minutes. Quick listen. She doesn't ramble on like I do. Platner has said he wants Medicare for all. He said he's not a communist, but he's a moderate progressive Democrat. The reason why the party didn't want him is because, he had a Nazi tattoo, which he said he got removed. He called himself in the past a vegetable-growing, psychedelics-taking socialist who later became a communist. There's all kinds of things about this guy. But the point is, Janet Mills should have, in a time when the Democrat Party was able to control the process, she would be the nominee. This guy would have been out in the corner. But that time is over. And now the socialists, the Democrat Socialists of America, who he mentions in that interview with Jon Stewart, the DSA, have been incredibly helpful to him. The DSA, they're in charge now. This is their party. This is their time. And he's now going to be the Democrat nominee. And he's got a very good chance of winning because it's Maine. And Susan Collins is not a great candidate to begin with. And we'll see how the voter anger goes, but this is the problem. Then my hope is that people in a state like Maine will push back on a guy like this. But you've seen in blue congressional districts where socialists get the nomination and the socialists wind up winning. So, all right, we got to run, but thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with an audio-only extravaganza for you on a Friday. So go back and watch clips, watch shows you missed earlier in the week. Subscribe, smash the like button, tell your friends, tell your enemies, and thank you for listening to the Rich Zeoli podcast.
Let's go.